My wife confessed she never loved me, only saw me as an ATM. But when I discovered her infidelity, I moved all my money and served her divorce papers. Now she lost her job. Her lover ghosted her and lives couch to couch, while I lost 15 kilos, got promoted, and have an amazing girlfriend who actually values me. I'm 35 years old. I work in corporate finance, and I need to tell this story because basically what happened like a year and a half ago completely changed me. Like it destroyed my marriage, but also saved me from wasting the rest of my life with someone who never really loved me. I guess I should start from the beginning. When I met Rachel in college, although looking back I should have seen the signs from the start, but you know how it is when you're in love. You don't see what you don't want to see. I met Rachel when we were like 20. She was studying graphic design and I was in my third year of business administration. I met her at a fraternity party, one of those typical ones where the music is so loud you can't even hear yourself think, and she was there with her friends, laughing and being the center of attention like always. She was incredibly beautiful, like the type where when they walk into a place everyone turns to look, and I couldn't believe she was talking to me. We dated for 3 years while we finished college, and honestly they were good years, or at least I thought they were. She was social, outgoing, always wanted to go out and do things, and I was quieter, more the type who prefers staying home with a movie, but I tried to keep up with her because I loved her. You know what I mean? I would do anything to make her happy. We got married when I was 27 and she was 26. It was a small but nice wedding at a vineyard, nothing extravagant but memorable. The first few years were good. I worked long hours at my company but made good money, enough for us to live comfortably in a decent house in the suburbs. We paid our bills on time, went out to dinner on Fridays, had a normal and stable life. I thought that's what we both wanted, to build something together, maybe eventually have kids, the whole story. Rachel worked part-time at a design agency, but honestly, she was never really passionate about her work. She always said she felt creatively stuck, but I supported her, told her to take her time and find what really made her happy. Things started to change like 2 years ago, when Rachel was 28. At first, they were small things I didn't even register as problems. Like she started coming home later, always with excuses that she'd stayed for drinks with coworkers or that she'd gone to the gym after the office. I didn't suspect anything because I trusted her completely. I mean, we'd been together almost 8 years at that point. Why would I doubt her? But then she started being more distant with me. Like when I tried to talk to her about my day or ask her about hers, she'd give me one-word answers and get on her phone. We stopped having sex as frequently as we used to, and when we did it felt mechanical, like she was fulfilling an obligation rather than enjoying it. I tried talking to her several times, like, "Hey, is everything okay? Is something going on between us?" And she always said she was stressed with work, that it wasn't anything personal, that she loved me but just needed space. I accepted those explanations because I wanted to believe it was temporary, that things would get better. I thought maybe we needed to reconnect, do something special together. So I organized a romantic weekend at a mountain cabin, one of those with a fireplace and hot tub, the whole package. I told her we'd take a break from everything. No phones, just the two of us. She didn't seem very excited at first but agreed to go, and I thought it was a good step. The trip to the cabin was weird from the start. She spent most of the time in the car looking at her phone instead of talking to me. But I tried to stay optimistic. The first night I made dinner, bought expensive wine, put on soft music, the whole romantic deal that's supposed to work. We drank quite a bit of wine, more than we normally drank, and she started to relax a little, to talk more. I was happy because it finally seemed like we were connecting, but then she said something that made me freeze. We were on the couch in front of the fireplace and out of nowhere she says, "You know, Marcus, sometimes I wonder if I made a mistake getting married so young." I laughed nervously and said something like, "We all have those doubts sometimes," but she kept going. "No, seriously," she said. "I think I settled. I think I married you because you were safe and stable, but there was never that spark, that passion you're supposed to feel." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I literally felt like I'd been kicked in the stomach, but she kept talking, like the words were coming out as if she'd been waiting years to say them. She said she'd always found other men more attractive, more exciting, that I was too predictable, too boring, that our conversations were superficial, and that basically she'd only put up with me because I was a good provider. She used those exact words, a good provider, like I was a damn ATM instead of her husband. I tried to defend myself, tell her that was horrible and hurtful, but she just shrugged and said the wine had made her honest, and that maybe it was better that I knew the truth. I stayed awake all that night while she slept soundly next to me, snoring softly as if she hadn't just destroyed our marriage with her words. I didn't cry. That's the weird thing. I just lay there staring at the ceiling, feeling absolutely nothing, like someone had turned off all my emotions at once. The next morning, Rachel acted like nothing had happened, said she had a hangover and that she'd probably said a lot of nonsense the night before, that I shouldn't take it seriously. But I took it seriously, very seriously, because when someone is drunk, they say what they really think, right? You can't undo those words once they're out there floating in the air. We drove back home in complete silence, and when we got there, something in me had fundamentally changed. I decided in that moment that I wasn't going to keep begging for attention from someone who had just admitted she'd never really loved me, who only saw me as someone safe and boring. I made the decision. I think it was the Monday after that trip that I was going to emotionally disconnect completely. I stopped trying to initiate deep conversations with her, stopped asking about her day, stopped making romantic plans or surprises. I basically became a roommate who shared the bed with her occasionally. And you know what? She didn't even notice. Or if she noticed, she didn't care, which only confirmed that I was right to disconnect. Like 3 months passed like that, living in the same house but being basically strangers, and I focused on my work and going to the gym more often because I needed to do something with all that negative energy I had inside. Rachel kept coming home late, going out with her friends, or so she said, and I just nodded and went on with my life. Until one Friday night I got a call from David, my friend from college who lived in the city, like 30 minutes from where I lived. David tells me, "Hey man, I don't want to get involved where I shouldn't, but I just saw Rachel at a bar downtown with a guy, and they didn't look like just friends. They were literally very touchy-feely." I felt like I'd been hit with a bucket of ice water, but at the same time, I wasn't surprised. Like it was almost as if I'd been waiting for this confirmation. I asked David if he could describe the guy, and he told me he was tall, tattooed, with that bad boy look that some women find irresistible. Basically the complete opposite of me. I thanked him for telling me, although it hurt that he had to be the one to give me the news, and hung up. I sat on the couch for a while thinking about what to do, and decided I needed concrete evidence before confronting her. The next day I told Rachel I had to work Saturday night, which wasn't unusual, and instead I followed her. She got really dressed up, put on that black dress she only wore for special occasions, and left around 8 at night. I followed her in my car to that same downtown bar where David had seen her, and sure enough, there she was, sitting at a table in the back with that guy David had described. I stayed in my car taking photos with my phone, feeling a mixture of rage and strange satisfaction because I finally had proof of what I'd suspected. I watched them kiss, hold hands, laugh together in a way she hadn't laughed with me in years, and it was like watching a complete stranger because the woman there wasn't the person I'd married. Or maybe she'd always been like that and I was too blind to see it. I stayed there for like 2 hours, taking all the photos I could, and then I left for home before she got back. That same night, I sent all the photos to my lawyer with an email that said, "I need a divorce as soon as possible," and he responded Monday saying, we'd start the process immediately. The next thing I did, and I admit it maybe wasn't completely ethical, but I didn't care it. That moment was move most of our money from the joint accounts to a new account only in my name. Not all of it, because that would have been too obvious, but like 70%, which was money I'd earned anyway, working those long hours that Rachel criticized so much. My lawyer helped me make a list of all our assets. The house was in my name because I'd put down the down payment and had paid the mortgage from the beginning. The car was mine. Basically everything important was legally mine, because I'd been the one financially supporting the household, while Rachel worked part-time at something she didn't care about. I waited like 2 more weeks before serving the divorce papers, during which I acted completely normal. I mean, Rachel had no idea what was coming. She kept going out with that guy, coming home late, smelling of men's cologne that definitely wasn't mine, and I just smiled and asked how her day had been like nothing. The day I decided to give her the papers was a Wednesday. I remember perfectly, because that day I'd had an especially good meeting at work and was in a good mood. I got home, She was on the couch watching Netflix, and I told her, Rachel, I need you to sign some papers. She didn't even look up from the TV and said, yeah, sure, leave them there. And I said, no, I need you to read them now. She finally paid attention to me, took the papers, and I saw her face change from bored to confused to completely pale in a matter of seconds. She asked me what the hell this was, and I told her very calmly, they're divorce papers, Rachel. I think it's pretty obvious. She started stuttering, saying she didn't understand why, that we could work on whatever was wrong, and I pulled out my phone and showed her the photos of her with Tyler, which was her lover's name as I found out later. Her face got even paler, like I literally thought she was going to pass out, and she started with the typical excuses of, it was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. I was confused. I love you. I told her I didn't care anymore. That I'd stopped caring the day she told me in that cabin that she'd never found me attractive and only saw me as someone safe and boring. I reminded her of every hurtful word she'd said that night, and I saw her realize that she'd dug her own grave months ago. She tried to cry, get dramatic, say she was drunk and hadn't meant it. But I was already emotionally disconnected. Her tears didn't affect me at all. I told her she had two options: sign the papers and make this easy, or not sign them and make this difficult, but that either way I was going to divorce her. Rachel didn't sign that day. Instead, she spent the next 2 weeks trying to convince me to give her another chance, sending me long texts about how she'd made a terrible mistake, how I was the love of her life. All that garbage that didn't mean anything to me anymore. I ignored most of her messages, and when she saw me in person, she tried to touch me, hug me, kiss me, but I pulled away like she was a complete stranger. My lawyer sent her a formal letter saying that if she didn't sign voluntarily, we were going to go to court with all the evidence of her infidelity, and that would only make the process longer and more expensive for her. She finally signed. I think it was a month after I'd given her the initial papers, and I moved out of the house that same weekend. The divorce process took like 6 months total, during which I had absolutely no contact with Rachel beyond what was necessary through our lawyers. I found out through mutual acquaintances that things weren't going very well for her, like that Tyler, her lover she was so in love with, basically ghosted her when he found out we were getting divorced, because apparently he was only interested in the thrill of an affair, not a serious relationship. She also lost her job at the design agency. I'm not sure exactly why, but I think it had something to do with her attitude or missing work a lot, and she was living with a friend because she couldn't afford an apartment on her own. Meanwhile, I was rebuilding myself pretty well. I moved to an apartment downtown, nothing luxurious but modern, and in a good building with a gym included. I started going to the gym every day, lost like 15 kilos I'd gained during the years of unhappy marriage, and honestly, I looked and felt better than ever. I met someone too, a girl named Emily who went to the same gym as me. She was 30 years old, worked in digital marketing, and was completely different from Rachel. She was independent, had her own goals, didn't need someone to support her or constantly validate her. And most importantly, she found me attractive and showed me, not just with words, but with actions. Rachel tried to contact me like 3 or 4 months after the divorce was finalized. She sent me a long message saying she was going through a very difficult time, that she'd lost everything, that she needed help, basically asking for money without saying it directly. I read the message, felt absolutely nothing, not even satisfaction or revenge, just indifference, and deleted it without responding. I blocked her number after that because I didn't even want the temptation to read more of her messages. I found out later through David, who still had contact with some of our mutual friends, that she'd tried to contact him too, asking for my new number or address, but he told her he couldn't help her. Now, like 8 months after everything officially ended, I'm in a completely different place in my life. I live in that downtown apartment that I love. I'm dating Emily, and things are going really well without any pressure or unrealistic expectations. I have more money because I'm no longer supporting someone who didn't respect me. And work has gone incredibly well. They even gave me a promotion 2 months ago. Rachel, according to the last thing I heard, is still without stable work, couch surfing with different friends because she can't maintain her own place. And I think she tried to get back with Tyler at some point, but he completely rejected her. Do I feel bad for her? Honestly, no, not one bit, and I don't feel guilty about not feeling sorry. She made her choices, treated me like garbage, cheated on me, said horrible things about me, and now she's living with the consequences of those choices. I made my own choices too. I decided not to be a victim. I decided to get out of that situation before it consumed me completely, and I decided to build a better life for myself. Some people have told me I was very cold or calculating in how I handled everything, especially the moving the money before serving her the papers. But honestly, I don't regret anything. She had years to treat me well, to be honest with me, to work on our marriage, and instead she chose to cheat on me and humiliate me. Last week I saw Rachel by chance at a Starbucks near my office. She was in line to order, and I'd just picked up my coffee. Our eyes. I met for a second. She looked tired and pretty worn down compared to how she used to look, and I honestly just turned around and left without saying anything. I didn't feel the need to talk to her, to ask how she was, to fake politeness. That part of my life is closed, filed away, finished. I'm a completely different person now from who I was when I was with her, and I don't want to go back for even a second. Did I learn anything from all this? I guess so. I learned that you can't make someone love you if they just don't. I learned that it's okay to set boundaries and protect yourself, even if that means being seen as the bad guy. And I learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't doing something terrible back, but simply living well and being happy without that person. Emily asked me once if I'd ever forgive Rachel, and I told her that forgiving implies I still care enough to process those emotions. And the truth is, I don't care at all anymore. That's enough for me, I guess.